Welcome, listeners, back to Hanging with the Hayters. And, hey, before I even start, I just said one and that's one thing I've got to quit doing because I listened to our first episode, which was last week, and there's a second I've got to stop those uhs. It's just...
It's very hard to do that.
It's very hard to do. But thank you, listeners, for tuning in right now. We did get some feedback from people, and before we get into that, Kay, how was the week? Did you do anything fun? I mean, we were in the same house, but I don't remember.
I've had a little bit of cabin fever. We've been kind of staying in, and but I've taken care of some household chores. We've got a list we're going through, and we're going to have to get after it again this afternoon.
Yeah. Yesterday she said, I've got to leave, and she needed some time. She went shopping at places I do not go, Hobby Lobby, and she probably even went to the fabric store, but I will not go into one of those anymore.
I think I'm going to do that this afternoon.
Okay, I have one thing I'd like to speak. That's another Folks, would you please quit counting those? Just get them out of your mind. I saw something last night on TV. It was on Netflix. It was a movie, and I'm asking listeners, if you have Netflix, why don't you watch this movie? It's called Frequencies. Frequencies. It's about every human being actually having a particular frequency that you listen on. The thing is, it is so bizarre. I watched the first 8 minutes, and I said, I'm not going to put up with this. I said idiotic to myself. I can actually hear myself speak when I'm talking to myself, Kay. I said it's idiotic, and then I turned to another movie, which I realized I'm going to spend 2 hours, and at the end of it, the bad guys are going to be dead. And that doesn't help me. I went back to Frequencies and watched it through the end, and all I need from you listeners is to listen and go to Facebook and tell me about the ending.
You weren't sure?
I don't know what the Sam Hill... what happened exactly. It's just a wonderment. But anyway, do that, folks. You don't have anything else to do. And by the way, Kay, there is a good chance I am going to go see Revenant?
The Revenant.
The Revenant. Why name a movie something no one can, or few people can identify with?
Have you looked it up? No.
I did, and I can't remember. It's something about trying to get retribution against somebody that did you wrong, which I thought was vengeance, but I may have mentioned that last week. Anyway, Kay, that's one of the things I did.
Well, you won't have to share your popcorn.
No, well, I definitely won't. Kay's not going to put up with that. Or I want to see
The Hateful Eight.
The Hateful Eight. I've heard nothing good about it. But my brother said something that makes me want to see it. They hated it, but they said one reason was there's too much talking in that saloon. I really like movies where they're talking, and I like these actors, so I'd like to hear what they're saying. It's probably funny, even though heads are being blown off and things like that. So I will watch Hateful Eight at some point. But anyway, Kay, we need to mention one other thing here. We're having a guest today. His name is Noah Farrarone, and he's from Montgomery. He's in the second grade, and this young man is very talented, and we're going to share him with you in just a little bit. Right now, I need to do one thing we do. Last time we had Leota, Oklahoma news, and we're not going to have it today because they didn't send us any audio. However, they did send a transcript, and the only reason, Kay, I'm mentioning it is we left two things, or they left two things, two things hanging.
They did.
Two stories. One about what was his name? I've got it written right here. Franklin, who is doing a hot air balloon. He's trying to go through the arc in St. Louis from Oklahoma, from Leota, Oklahoma. And the other was about the officer down, Carl Phelps, behind Merle's general store and bowling alley. He was down. We never followed up. They finally, though, did give us a follow-up as to what happened.
I'm glad. Well, one of them turned out okay. Turns out Officer Carl, there wasn't really a problem, but he had a new hat he got for Christmas, and it blew off, and landed in a puddle of oil where Lum Franklin's old truck used to sit and drip oil in the parking lot. So he was back there saying a few things about that.
That's true. And he was not saying, help, oh, help. He was saying, oh, Hades. And people misinterpreted it for help. The thing is, the hat, I can understand it. He sent off for it online. It was one of those Royal Canadian mounted type hats, and it was wonderful, and you can't do anything once it's hit oil. So, but he's not hurt, and that's the good news.
Right.
The story about Lum Franklin, we pretty well predicted that. In fact, I believe Wendy, whoever was playing Candy, it's not Wendy, people, please, you're getting me off. It was Candy was saying that you might go ahead and order flowers for Lum because he is either going to be in the hospital or dead. Ladies and gentlemen, Lum survived, but he had a problem in this. If you'll recall, he was creating a hot air balloon out of the lining of an above-ground swimming pool. He had no gondola, so as it turns out, he strapped his Murray riding mower on as a gondola, and on the back he propped his fuel source, which was an acetylene tank. He attached that, he had his blowtorch up, and turns out, ladies and gentlemen, according to what I'm reading here, it was so heavy that it went up and it's headed for, as the wind was blowing, towards, once again, Lake Leota. It skipped 14 times. It's a new record. In fact, it's something that the Guinness Book of World Records doesn't even record, but if they did, Lum Franklin would have his picture there in the
It
war.
dragged his lawnmower.
Oh, yeah, it's all down at the
lake.
bottom of the lake now. But he did survive. He had a dislocated shoulder. He had a crack in his skull. And according to Ottis, they still haven't figured out how he burned the soles of his feet. But he is going to live. He's just in bad shape. Those are two stories we've taken care of. One other, though, I might add to that, is that Ottis also mentioned that Candy Joe, what was her last name? Candy Joe Mayhugh.
Yes. Got
a promotion. Not a promotion, but she got another job, a better job in Atoka, Oklahoma. So they're going to have to find a new lady that does the news.
I wish them all the best.
We do.
Anyway,
really that was that. Did you hear much about the first episode we did, Kay?
I got some feedback that said people enjoyed it. Of course, they're all people that know us, and what are they going to say?
What are they going to say? You know, one of my good buddies, Bobby Ezel, one of both our buddies, even commented. I don't see him very often, but he was about the greatest teacher, probably the greatest teacher I ever knew. And anyway, it was just great to hear from him, and he reminds me of your dad, Uncle Ray.
Oh.
Wow. Anyway, thanks for all of those who commented. I did get some feedback. One was the scripted part, particularly the Leota, Oklahoma news. Some people said that wasn't very funny, and that is just all on me. That's really bad.
Well, we did listen to it. We had trouble coming up with different voices, and mine was all over the place. And so anyway, good try.
It was a try, and I don't know how much of that we'll do in the future, but we'll do something. That we will have some skits coming up. I do know this, Kay. I wrote, it took me 2 days and several hours, not the complete day, but a few hours each day to write a script for today. Kay and I sat down last night and started reading it, and I said, Kay, is this funny? And she said, not really. And I said, it isn't, is it? And all of that work I just put away, and I felt so down. But I'm better now. And we are going to go ahead with some other things. One thing I want to do, Kay, I have always liked Paul Harvey. Do you remember him? He's dead now.
Yes, of course.
His son may be doing it. When we were traveling on the road as opposed to walking on a deer trail, when we were traveling around noon, I used to turn to the AM stations and see if we could get Paul Harvey. Do you remember that?
I remember,
Paul Harvey. And after each segment, Dick, he would say something that would give it away. He would say, page 1, and that would tell the radio, that's my first page, let's have a break, something like that. Anyway, he's very good. And he told stories that were just in the news, but they were so interesting to me, and I hate to this day missing them. Plus, it was very hard to find them because it's always on an AM station. After that explanation, which incidentally was one of the criticisms we got was quit explaining stuff. Just say it. Say what you're getting ready to say, and don't explain why it's happening. So I've already blown that one out of the water. What we're going to do is not impersonate Paul Harvey, but Kay and I have a list of stuff that we learned from the past week, and we are going to share that information starting, are you ready? Right now. Kay, can I start?
Sure.
Thanks.
Go ahead.
I was watching the national news day before yesterday, I think it was, and they had this special, once again, one of the teases, breaking news concerning mammograms, obviously for women. And when I heard that, I said, please don't. I don't care to hear it anymore. There is no news about mammograms. It hasn't been changed several times. They came back, and here was the news. There is still a disagreement on the age of a person, a lady who would need a mammogram. Some people say 40 years old, and some scientists say, or doctors say no. Some say 50, and others say no. Some say at 60, you're supposed to have one every other Tuesday.
Right. Some say every 2 years. Some say every year. I think some of this stuff, different people do different studies, and they come out with different results. And so I think they report every single study that comes out. And so it's just, listeners, we don't know what to think.
Well, I left it on.
I just go by what my doctor wants me to do.
Exactly. I left it on for your benefit, Kay, because that's the kind of husband I am. And as a result of that, I would like to say this. I am not in any way making light of breast cancer at all. If you don't know someone who has it, or if some of you do not have not had breast cancer and all, you're a very fortunate person if you don't even know anyone. Bottom line, it is one serious thing, but this constant news that isn't news about mammograms is, by the way, after saying that, they've improved mammograms, haven't they, Kay? Are they as painful?
Have. Oh. They're better.
Oh, they're better.
I'm not going to say they're not painful, but they're better.
Okay. Well, I'm going to try to have one next week and see how that
Thank goodness it's only once a year.
Goes. Okay, that was my story. Do you have something, Kay?
I do. I was reading, I get, AARP magazine, that kind of thing, and they were talking about all the scams that are perpetrated against older people, senior citizens, and they said the biggest one in the United States right now is a phone scam where they call and say that it's someone from Microsoft or Windows and that they've detected a virus on your computer and that you need to go to this website and follow the instructions and they will rid your computer of the virus, while really what's happening is it's uploading malware on your computer where they can track your usernames, passwords. In some instances, people have actually had their data or their computer held for ransom. So anyway, fortunately, we haven't had one of those. But it's always good to know kind of what the latest scam thing is that's going around.
In other words, if you want it out of your computer, you got to pay them some money.
That's right.
Kay got some malware software to stop that, and what it's done is it's taken over my computer, and I can't get rid of the malware software. So anyway, that's our problem. But we're not going to dwell on that any longer because we need to take a break. And folks, when we come back, we are going to have our special guest and another special guest who is a young man who's a genius. Back in a couple.
Break time, people. Restrooms are in the foyer. Back in a couple of minutes with more Hanging with the Hayters.
Hi, this is BJ Orner from Montgomery County Performing Arts Society. I'm here to remind you to get your tickets now for all the upcoming events that McPass has to offer. All shows will be held at the beautiful Crichton Theater in downtown Conroe. Call 936-441-7469 for your tickets today, or go to our website, www.macpass.org, for more information. Hope to see you at the show.
SPCA PetSnap of Montgomery County is a 501c3 all-volunteer-based rescue and adoption organization with a no-kill policy for healthy and adoptable animals. Our goals are fourfold: to rescue and rehabilitate homeless animals, to provide a safe haven for the animals until a suitable adoption or foster care home is found or until they are reunited with their owner, to educate the public about the great need to reduce pet population, which includes the importance of having their pets spayed and neutered, and to further the cause for humane and responsible pet ownership, and to provide a low-cost spay-neuter clinic for people who are unable to afford to spay or neuter their pets otherwise. SPCA Pet Snap of Montgomery County encourages you to think adoption first. You can contact us at www.spcaofmc.com.
Did you know there are more than 790 abused and neglected children currently in foster care in Montgomery County? Will you help make a difference? I'm Allie Stevens with Casa Child Advocates of Montgomery County. We train and support volunteers to be the voice of children in the foster care system. Kids removed from their home because of abuse and neglect, and we need volunteers just like you to advocate for these children. To learn more about becoming an advocate, please visit CasaSpeaksForKids.com. That's CasaSpeaksForKids.com.
Listeners, I'd like to introduce you today to our guest. Please welcome Mason Berry. Mason, it's good to have you on the show today, young man.
Thank you, Mr. Hayter, and thank you, Mrs. Hayter, for being so nice to me before the show.
Mark, can we keep him?
Isn't that sweet? Yeah, but he's only a kid, Kay, and he's going to grow out of this cute stage. Take my word. So, tell us a little about yourself, Mason.
I'm 7 years old, and I can tell jokes.
That's fascinating. What do you do for a living?
I'm in 2nd grade.
Okay. Any favorite authors? What are you currently reading?
I'm not reading. I'm talking to you.
Oh, my word.
Mark, he's only messing with you, Mason. Behave.
Okay. I'm sorry, young man. Look, I was just trying to add a little levity here in case this interview heads south. So, Mason, tell our listeners why you're on the show today.
Because the last show bombed.
Oh, my word. Where did you hear that?
Mark.
My mom told me, and she said I'm smart.
Oh,
I know you're smart, Mason. Do you like being smart?
I guess. I can tell the names of lots of trees.
Right. You're an expert dendrologist, aren't you?
No, sir. I'm an expert on tree names.
Well, dendrology is the identification and study of trees and shrubs, Mason. Look at the tree book you brought right here. There beneath the title, Dendrology is the identification of study of trees and shrubs.
I'm only 7. I can't read the big words.
Oh,
Mark. That's okay, Mason. And you're right, young man. You are here to show people that you can name all the trees.
Yes, ma'am. That's why Mr. Mark asked me here.
Okay. Let's kill the Mr. Mason. Look, we're burning daylight here, so let's all sober up and get started. What I've got on the table here is a box full of leaves and twigs and nuts. I am going to pull out a leaf or a twig or a nut. And, Mason, you're going to tell me the name of the tree it came from. Are you ready?
Uh-huh.
Okie doke. Okay. Tell me the name of the tree this leaf came from.
That tree's name is Susan. I said a joke. It's really a rusty nannyberry leaf.
Okay, don't push it, young man. Yes, it is a rusty nannyberry. Very good. Okay, what about this one?
That's a chinkapin oak.
Whoa, man, that's pretty cool. Okay, try your luck on this one.
Big tooth maple. That's a pistachio nut.
No, that was something left on the table from the last show. Look, Mason, what I'm trying to grab is this one here. What kind of nut is that?
Acorn from live oak.
Okay, very good. And let me try a limb of something here. What is this?
A twig from a pecan tree.
Oh, man, this kid's good. Okay, I'm going to stump you on this one. I've got every confidence on this one. Okay, what's this?
Wow, where did you find that one? That's a bitter cherry. They're not supposed to grow in Texas.
Way to go, Mason. You are the smartest young man I think I've ever met.
Yeah, he's one of those gifted kids who play the piano or the violin. What do they call them, Kay? Proxies?
He's a prodigy. He's a tree-naming prodigy.
I can't play a piano.
No, you're a dendrology prodigy. Probably the only one on the planet.
Mason, is that what you want to be when you grow up? Are you going to be a tree scientist?
No, ma'am. I'm going to be a fireman.
You want to be a fireman. You're a scientist, boy. You've been touched by the green thumb of God. You can't be a fireman.
Mark, leave Mason alone. If he wants to be a fireman, let him be a fireman. We need firemen.
Yes, ma'am. Either a fireman or a cowboy. That's another joke. I just want to be a fireman.
Brother. Okay, look, it's your life, but please, when you get a little more sense than you've got right now, would you please give a thought to the field of science, would you?
Yes, Mark. Can I go now?
It's okay, Mason. We are finished, and we want to thank you so much for being on our show today. I can just see our ratings soaring.
Oh, there's no question about that. Mason, thanks a bunch. If you'll watch your step as you're exiting here, we're getting ready to announce our second guest today. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back here on Hanging with the Hayters, and we are blessed today to have a young man who is... I don't know. I caught this kid on a play that was in Montgomery.
Montgomery High School.
It was Montgomery High School. A play about homelessness among young people, children and all. And it was a high school play, and yet this man right here, Noah Farrarone. That is a name that I'm going to really mess up, Noah. But, ladies and gentlemen, Noah just played Mason Barry, which was a fascinating role this guy did right here, and he handled it very well. This kid's 7 years old, and he can read better than I can right now. Noah, thank you so much for being on our show, young man. I was wondering, first of all, you are 7, is that correct?
Yes.
Is it, when I chose you, you didn't have that much acting experience. What had you done before you came on the show today? I saw you in that play. I know you were involved in that. Yeah. What was your role in that play? What did you do?
I had 3 places. 2 kids and 1 homeless kid.
Oh, you were... I saw you all over the place, and
So you had like 3 different characters?
Yes.
Right.
You know, one thing about that play, each actor had a role with respect to the set, picking up things and putting them, which... must have taken the director, happened to be your mom, if I'm not mistaken. She was definitely involved in this in a big way. A lot of trouble getting kids to pick up stuff and all. Were you involved in that? Did you have to pick up stuff and get it off stage?
Nope.
Okay. You didn't. You lucky duck. Well, let me ask you this. Are you interested in continuing to act? What would you like to do next with respect to acting? Anything?
Yes. I would like to be a director.
Hokey smokes. All the good ones want to be a director.
You get to tell people what to do. That's good.
And you know, Kay, when you act, you can actually appreciate what the actors go through. So when you're a director, you know what I like to do is, with the little bit of experience I have, is see what the person, the actor, can actually bring himself before I tell him what I'm thinking of. And I didn't have to do anything with you. This kid, this is the first day I've met, I keep wanting to call him Mason, but it's Noah. And just the first read we had, my thought was, what the heck am I going to tell this kid? He's just great, 7 years old, can read so well. You're what I would call a natural, and yet you are interested in directing more. Is that right?
Yes.
When you watch TV, do you see actors, or who do you see that you really like and you think, wow, I might want to do that? Or do you have these thoughts? What actors do you like? Do you know of any?
No.
What do you watch? Animated stuff? Cartoons?
Movies, mostly.
Movies. What's some favorite ones?
Star Wars, The Martian.
Oh, son of a gun.
Yes, good taste.
Yeah,
good
you
taste.
need to explain The Martian to me. some. First of all, it wasn't a comedy, was it, Kay? It was.
Well, but it won in the comedy category on the Golden Globes.
Do you have
which
brothers?
Is funny.
It was funny, yeah. And they had it on the Golden Globes with what's his name that did Gervais. What's the guy's name?
Ricky Gervais was the host.
Yeah, he was the host. He was cute.
Yeah.
You're when you get home from school, what is like something I'm trying to figure out a little bit about what you do, what you like to do. You come home from school. Normally, what do you do at that point? What would you like to do?
I usually play with my Legos or something.
Legos. Okay. Do you do much with computers?
Nothing but to really research the solar system.
Hokey smokes.
So you like the solar system and space. You like The Martian. This is coming together here.
I am so removed from elementary school. I can remember all of my teachers, by the way, and that's frightening from first grade on. My second grade teacher was Miss Vogel. Is there a particular subject in school you like? What is it?
Science and math.
Science and math.
This role was really in math.
That's wonderful.
Let me ask you this one, and this is just off of everything. It just hit me. Do you know what cursive writing is?
Yes.
Do y'all study that? You're in the second grade. I wouldn't think you would, but do you think you will study that?
I just started today.
Oh, my gosh.
Today?
Things they're teaching kids today. Kay, I would fail if I was,
Wow.
I went into the second grade knowing the book tip, no tip, yes tip, and you're coming in here and you're reading, words like a chinkapin. I cannot believe the young man.
Math, science, and obviously a good reader.
That is.
So we do have a genius here, I think.
A great deal. You've got many friends at school or at home. Who are some of your friends? You might have a shout out to them. Say, hey, so-and-so, but who are your friends?
Franklin, Aiden, Haley.
You know, oddly enough, these are all favorite names for children right now. I didn't know that, particularly Aiden and Haley. Sheesh.
Kaylee.
No, there's no Kayleys out there, so she's a first. Y'all...
There is now.
Yeah. How often do you go to the movie? Not
every, half 6 months, maybe.
Hokey smokes. Well, when did you see Star Wars then, the new one? A couple of weeks ago, or?
Over Christmas break.
Okay. Yeah. What did you do during Christmas break? And I'm going to leave you alone in just a second, but I'm just curious as I can be.
Went to the beach in Florida.
Wow.
You lucky duck. That is, and you have kinfolk there, friends? No? You just went to, oh man.
Besides my cousins.
Okay, cousins count. They're okay.
You know, when the family takes a vacation, they usually like to take Noah with them. That's what I'm thinking.
I would think so. He would probably be a big part of that.
When they say get in the car,
okay.
That's how it worked at my house.
Jeez.
Get in the car.
Yeah. And sometimes they brought chickens with Kay's family and all in trips. Well, Noah, do you sing, dance? What else can you do?
I do taekwondo, tennis, and I swim a lot.
Taekwondo. I've heard of that.
Well-rounded.
It's a type of martial art.
Wow. Are you going for a particular colored belt?
Black.
Wow, that's a big one. Do you have any belt now?
Yes.
What is it? What color?
Green.
The green belt. He's a green belt, Kay, and we're looking for a green belt in this on this planet too. So I think you're right up there with the. That's something about the ecosystem that doesn't mean much. But I'm impressed. Taekwondo, pretty big class. A lot of kids.
No.
Oh, can you beat up most of them?
I don't.
That's probably not the goal, is it?
They gave me a nickname.
What's that?
Lion.
The Lion. Wow. Yeah. They would. I had a name for me when I was in judo. It was Dodger. I don't know what it meant. But anyway, before we let you go here, Noah, let me ask you this. Think of a friend, a family member, anyone. You are the first guest on Hanging with the Hayters. And just a super one by all indications here that I can see. No one can top Noah's role here on today's show.
Big shoes to
fill. Is
fill.
there someone out there you would like to say hello to, happy birthday, or whatever to? Think of a person and let their name go out into the universe, because this is on the computer internet, and it'll be everywhere. Anyone you can think of. Okay, Kay's trying to give him help. Don't give him help, Kay. One of your friends?
I think you put him on the spot.
I did.
Mark, remember the time that your dad wanted you to sing in front of all your relatives?
Oh, my gosh, that's got to be one of our stories.
Think about that for a minute.
That was terrible. I clammed up. I could not think of a line, and I started crying. Anyway. Well, I tell you, Noah, it was terrific, and I'd like to thank your mom right here that you can catch on NCIS. Some of them, she is an actor in her own right. She gave it up. I guess when you decided to raise a family and all, and I'm talking about Jessica Farrarone. She's right here, and I contacted her to get to Noah here. Noah, every time I say your name, I'm going through Mason in my mind, and I'm sorry about that because of this role. Thank you so much for being here, and Mason, you may get a call again in the not-too-distant future to play another role in some skit we've got.
Thank you, Noah.
So much. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a break here and be back in just a couple of minutes here on the Hanging with the Hayters show.
Bye. Bye, Noah.
You're listening to Hanging with the Hayters here on IRLoneStar.com with Kay and Mark Hayter. We'll be back after this. I'm going to do you'll be back after this. I'm going to give you your weather and traffic for Montgomery County. This is Dick Schischler with Mornings with Lone Star. Right now it's 60 degrees outside. Humidity is around 44%. This afternoon it's going to be sunny with a high near 63 and a low around 43. We are expecting rain tomorrow leading all the way through into Friday. There's a 30% chance of heavy showers and thunderstorms. Traffic right now in Montgomery County area. Let's start with I-45 northbound all the way from Spring through New Waverly. You're good to go. Southbound, good to go. Actually, everything looks absolutely clear. I do not see an incident or an accident on 105, 242, or 1488 either, and the Loop 336. You are listening to IRLoneStar.com, Montgomery County's community radio station, and right now it is Hanging with the Hayters with Mark and Kay Hayter every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Archives and podcasts are available online at SoundCloud and YouTube. But right now we're going to get back to the commercial break, and after that will be Mark and Kay with Hanging with the Hayters. Stick around.
Have a legal question? Are you a resident of Montgomery County? Call 281-645-6344 to talk to a volunteer attorney from the Woodlands Bar Association. We answer the phones on the first Monday of every month at 281-645-6344 from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. to provide general legal information and information about legal resources to Montgomery County residents.
Welcome back, listeners. Once again, I'd like to thank Noah Farrarone in the second grade. One thing I found out from that interview is that I can't interview kids very well, okay? It was a struggle. It was, I was very aware of don't ask him a yes or no question. Don't ask him yes or no. But his mom told me, Jessica said that he's a very shy boy. But when we saw that young man on the stage in Montgomery High School, first time he ever acted, he was so animated and all. And then in the studio, asking him questions, I realized that he's very shy. He doesn't know what to say. That's true of many actors, by the way.
Yeah, a lot of people really do have trouble. If you don't know what questions are going to be asked or don't have an idea, and he didn't. I don't think he'd ever been interviewed before. I probably wouldn't have done very well myself. Yeah. So,
Kay, we are getting ready to start Kay's Corner. But before we do, Kay, let me make one more of these odd things that happen because I think it's interesting as I'll get out. I found out this week, and some of you may have read this same thing in the newspaper, that scientists, I think it was in a university in Minnesota, that if you take a baby cow, they're called a what, Kay?
A calf.
A calf. Very good. Thank you. I was just testing her to see if she was listening. If you take a baby cow at birth and you not immediately at birth, but give them a while to get cleaned up and all. And you pet this calf. You have someone in there petting the calf, hopefully the same person all the time, for 3 minutes for 2 weeks. If he or she gets human contact, if it's a she, this cow will put on more weight than the other cows who got no human contact. Not only that, but they produce more milk, according to Minnesota. I think that's where I read it. That sounds odd. And
I'm telling you, there's a lot of odd studies going on
there are
out there.
odd studies. But, and by the way, if you are a cow, you get a mammogram at the age of 4, is my understanding. And that is a tough thing
I don't
to
even
do.
want to think about
How
that.
many udders? Anyway, Kay, it's Kay's Corner. Kay, anything you want to talk about or discuss, just let's hear it.
Well, earlier I talked about, scams and that kind of thing. And I read a couple of articles this week that had to do with identity theft or with scam artists trying to get your personal information or get money out of you. There was a couple of them that I hadn't heard about. One of them is called the silent call, and it's where your phone rings, you pick it up, you say hello, and there's nobody on the other end, and they say that it's some new type of robocall where they're gathering a list of people, I guess, who answer their phone, and then they give that out to other people, and they've got a list of people who will answer the phone.
Son of a gun.
That's
so why people aren't leaving messages.
Use your caller ID. So if you don't recognize the number, don't pick it up. My personal thing is if I don't recognize the number, please leave a message. If you leave a message, I'll call you back. But if you don't leave a message, then I'm never going to know who it was, and that's just fine.
And Kate, one thing you proved last week is if you can't get me on the phone because I'm not picking up, I don't recognize the number, you may hang up and say, hey, I'll just catch him on his cell phone. No, you won't. You'll never get me on my cell phone.
I know.
Just don't. I can't keep it charged. Okay. Was there something else there?
Yes. They're talking about these new chip cards that are going out.
I got one.
And, I think almost all our cards have chips on them now.
You've got to remember, when it says don't pull the card out yet, do not pull it out.
That's right.
That
Read the little
hates
screen. You have to wait a minute. They've already come up with a scam for these new cards where they're calling and impersonating the card issuers, and they're sending an email and they ask for personal and financial information, or they ask you to, if they send you an email, to click on some link. Anyway, they're pretending to be your credit card company. But believe it or not, your credit card company already knows all this stuff. So why would they be calling and asking or sending you an email and asking for that? So you just got to be careful. Then I read an article, and it was telling about documents that you should be shredding. Well, we shred old bank statements and stuff that's got Social Security numbers on it, that kind of thing. But they had a list of some stuff that I never would have thought about. For instance, your boarding passes when you're flying, that little barcode that's on there apparently contains a lot of information, and if you're a frequent flyer, it's got your frequent flyer number in there, and apparently there's some website you can go to and it'll read that barcode, so they can see your upcoming travel plans. They can actually check into your flight. They can cancel a trip on you.
Good grief, Kate. Last time we took our flight to Washington, I actually traded boarding passes with the guy next to me. Just, say, hey, we have a memento of our meeting here. And that's just a joke. We really didn't.
I know.
But you know something, Kate? I did not say a word to that guy because he didn't look like he wanted to talk for half the trip. And then finally, I was so bored and all, I said something, and good grief, it was like we were brothers or something. It really went on. Anyway, that was something that doesn't have to do with fraud, but it was interesting.
I have another one, prescription labels, either the little ticket that you get or the bottle itself. They can actually steal your prescriptions by going and having them refilled and stealing your identity. They say you need to shred all the receipts that you don't want to save, that even if it just has the last 4 digits of your credit card, that they can kind of take that information, and if it's got your signature on there, they can use those receipts for doing fraudulent returns. They can get your store credit, using your old receipt.
Okay, this episode of Kay's Corner has saved our listeners, I'm thinking, a total of $18.17. This is good news to know. And when it's on the archives, other people will listen and they'll say billions of dollars, because it's helped me immensely. I wanted to say concerning the last one, though, what was the last one? Do you remember?
The prescription label?
Prescription label. Okay, well, you have. I've seen you try to take a label off of a dadgum one of those jars. She's not helping me.
Some of them will peel off, but most of them won't.
Well, some of them part of them will peel off, but it is just like, it's terrible.
And we have so many prescription bottles,
And by the way, do you know if you save those bottles, you will actually be able to send them overseas? I'm not joking, to places where they, when they give
they reuse
these people pills, they just have little baggies for them, but these medical things are good. We're getting ready to take a break. Before we do, I'm going to tell a joke, if that's okay. I borrowed this joke from Garrison Keller, Lake Wobegon guy. I like him tremendously. And it starts with a guy going into a bar, if you can believe this, Kay. He orders a drink. He's sitting at the bar drinking his beer. He leans back and looks at the ceiling, and there are 3 pieces of meat, as in cow meat, hanging from the ceiling. And he looks up there and he looks at the bartender and says, "What is that all about?" The bartender says, "Here's the deal. We've got it for everybody. I've already announced it to everyone, but you apparently, if you can jump up and grab each one of those pieces of meat in 3 jumps, only 3 jumps, you get 3 pieces of meat, you will get free drinks for the rest of this month. But if you can't do it, you have to buy drinks for everyone in the house." And the guy just nods and just keeps drinking his beer. And the bartender says, "What, you're not even going to try?" And he said, "No, the stakes are too high." I thought that was cute. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let us take our final break. We're going to come back with a story and a little bit about family.
Doing business since 1985, Assistance League of Montgomery County is a nonprofit, all-volunteer organization where all proceeds stay in Montgomery County. Through our Operation School Bell program, we have provided new clothes to over 50,000 students in our county. Visit our thrift shop at 126 North San Jacinto Street in downtown Conroe, or call us at 936-760-1151. Don't forget to like us on Facebook.
Tune in every Sunday night right here on Lone Star Internet Radio for adventure, romance, thrills, chills, and everything vintage radio drama can bring. The Players Theater Company Old Time Radio Hour comes to you every Sunday at 7 p.m. with brand new episodes monthly. Our productions always feature actors, music, and sound effects performed completely live. And now you can enjoy seeing each new episode performed on stage at the Owens Theater in Conroe. Check out www.irlonestar.com for information about upcoming episodes. Relive the glory days of vintage radio drama right here with the Players Theater Company Old Time Radio Hour on Lone Star Internet Radio.
Are you interested in learning more about preparing quick, healthy, and safe meals for your family? Would you like to spend time with others learning tips and tricks, along with practicing and tasting nutritious food? If so, the On the Road to Healthy Living Mobile Cooking School is for you. Call Amy Ressler at Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service at 936-539-7825 to find a class near you or volunteer to host a class.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the, I almost said the Mark and Kay show, but it's Hanging with the Hayters, and you have been hanging with the Hayters like grim death over the last 45 minutes, and this is the last segment. You can loosen your grip a little bit. Kay, this show has gone so much faster than the last one did. I don't know.
It did.
It was easier to do because of the script I threw away. But anyway, one thing I didn't do that Kay did during the weekend that she did want to get through or mention before we leave today, before our story time, and it had to do with the Golden Globe Awards, which I just don't watch award shows anymore because I can't handle the acceptance speeches and stuff like that. I just get...
well, that's why you tape them, which is what I did.
Wow,
did a lot of fast-forwarding. There was it was kind of interesting that for the Golden Globes, which is the Foreign Press Association Awards, that they put the movie The Martian with Matt Damon in under musical or comedy.
What?
And Matt Damon won for Best Actor in a comedy or a musical.
Holy, that's why Gervais, when you showed me, mentioned that it's a comedy. I thought he was just joking because it was...
No, that's the category they had it in.
Holy cow. He could have got an award in documentary if he wanted to, I guess, whatever, or animation.
I suppose. That was a very good movie.
It was a good movie.
And it had a lot of humor in it.
It did.
But
it did.
Yeah,
I wouldn't see it
call
again
it a
for
comedy.
anything, but it was interesting.
I thought kind of the neat thing was Sylvester Stallone won Best Supporting Actor for Creed. Mm-hmm. And when he got up and went on the stage, he got this long-standing ovation. So it was really neat. And he had his wife and his daughters up on the stage with him. And he really did a nice acceptance speech, very humble, just... and you could tell how much he loved his family. So it was good. That one I listened to.
I have not heard a bad thing about Creed. I haven't seen it yet either. But I can't imagine it being much different than any of the other boxing things.
Yeah.
But,
and what's
good.
interesting is Golden Globes does both film and television. And I'm not going to say a whole lot about TV other than the fact that John Hamm won again for Mad Men. Which has been over for almost a year, seems like.
Yeah.
And it was up against a lot of really good actors in other series. I don't know why they picked that. He's won, 100,
really?
seems
he
like,
is very
for
good.
Mad Men.
What was that series I liked that I wanted that boy to win?
It was
Robot?
Mr. Robot?
Mr. Robot. Have any of you seen Mr. Robot? It's kind of like that... Frequencies movie I'm telling you about. It's very deep. But this actor, I first saw him in that series Pacific, where it was the war.
Battle of the Pacific, World War II.
And he was just, I saw him, I said, this kid is good. And now he's got a series.
Yeah, he was up for that award, but didn't get it.
Yeah.
But Ricky Gervais, he was cringeworthy a lot of times. And again, I fast-forwarded for a whole lot of stuff. It was kind of... he kind of likes to embarrass people.
Cringe-worthy.
And
that is
did.
nothing short of cool. I'm going to use that one, Kay.
Yeah.
All in all, though, it was a good experience for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Folks, there is so much more hanging out there, but not in the studio, but I'm talking about topics here. But let me say this. It's story time, and instead of the last story we did was had a guy come in, I can't even remember his name, it's there somewhere, who told a joke, and it was a story about the ducks, the police officer, or not the game warden, about the jokes. This, I thought we would do kind of a family story, something that is really true. And I'd like to do more of this, Kay, if we can remember it in other episodes. But I was thinking when we had Noah in here, the young 7-year-old boy, and him acting and being very shy after the interview, I came up, by the way, that I'm saying this now in the past tense. You probably gathered that was a recording because he's in school right now and he couldn't get out. But I had time to think when it was over, and I thought of me when I was very young. We were going to Oklahoma, my family. There were a total of 7 Hayter kids, but there were only 4 of us going to Oklahoma at that time, and I was in the back seat. And folks, the song The Battle of New Orleans had come out with Johnny Horton, I think, singing, and I loved the song. I think the Hayters bought probably 4 45 records, 45 RPM records, and one of them was Big John, Battle of New Orleans, the Sink the Bismarck, and one other, I can't remember, probably something for Susan. Anyway, I was singing in the back seat of the car for apparently, I don't remember it being that long, but it was getting on people's nerves, 1814, took a little trip along with Colonel Jackson down mighty Mississippi. We took a little bacon and we took a little beans and we fought the British beers in the town. Anyway, I kept singing and singing. I'd forget about it a while and then it'd come up again. And finally, Dad said, would you please? I don't think he said shut up, but he didn't have to do anything but give me a look. But in this case, he actually said, stop it, Mark. And so, man, then that sobered me up big time. And finally, we got to Oklahoma where we all sat on the porch and talked. There was probably about 25 tea gardens and all there and some Hayters. And everybody's talking and all. And finally, Dad says there's a little lull, and Dad says, okay, here's what's going to happen. Mark is getting ready to sing the Battle of New Orleans. Mark, get up there and sing. And I froze. I said, Dad, don't, please don't make me do this. He said, you get up there. You have been singing all the way from Pasadena, the Battle of New Orleans, so you get up there. And he didn't scream like that, but all Dad had to do was tell me and look at me, and it scared. I realized I'm not getting out of this. I looked at Mom. Mom was nothing, go up and sing, son. And I got up, and I started crying. But while I'm crying, I'm singing, in 1814, took a little trip around the girl. Anyway, I went through the whole thing. I was so shy and so nervous. And Dad had a point, I realized, but then I ran as soon as I finished it into the house and went into Grandma and Grandpa's bedroom because we didn't have a bedroom of our own. We're visiting. And I sat on the bed and cried, and Aunt Edna, one of Mom's sisters, came in and she sat on the bed and put her arm around me and said, Mark, that was wonderful. I cannot believe you knew all of those words. You did such a great job. And then she gave me 50 cents, which Kay back then was... wow, what I could do. And, that was,
like,
55 years
like 10
ago.
Cokes back then.
And, yeah, and Aunt Edna is dead now, but whenever I think of her, I think of that moment. No one else thought, they just, what a dumb kid or something, and Aunt Edna came in there.
Isn't it funny how we can remember stuff for so long?
It is. And speaking of that, Kay, we're getting ready to leave, but I'd like us to leave on this note. After I wrote that script and all that I didn't tear up, but I decided we're not going to do it, and it wasn't any good. My whole thought of the show was, everything I had thought of isn't going the way I wanted it to, and I was feeling somewhat down, depressed, if you will. And I wrestled with that all night, and then I woke up the next morning, which was this morning, and I read this while I was, sitting in the study, thinking on things. And listen to this quote. Pain is inevitable, but misery optional. We can't avoid pain, but we can avoid joy. And I don't know why that hit me the way it did, but I was thinking, Mark, you are making such a big deal over nothing. And what I had done is let that stupid writing of mine take my joy. I just handed it to my joy and said, I'm depressed now. I can't work. A circumstance upsetting you, making you give away your joy or happiness is just bad on you. So bad on Mark. Folks, if that helps you any, you can't avoid pain, but you can avoid joy. Ladies and gentlemen, let's not avoid joy for the rest of the week until next Wednesday on Hanging with the Hayters, when we'll have another guest appearance of someone I'm not sure of just yet. I got it out there.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you for listening.
See you next week.